I had never seen a human being so broken, so betrayed by humanity, so hurt, so eviscerated in my life. You know, I thought because my life hadn't been particularly easy that I knew what real strength was, fortitude and perseverance. Until I encountered a situation that a friend of mine went through, which completely humbled me and showed me that I didn't know anything compared to what this person went through. I'm going to warn you in advance, this is not a pleasant story. But I'm going to be mindful of people's sensitivities, and I'm not going to say anything that's going to deliberately upset anybody. I will do my best to look out for everybody's experiences and what might be, as they say, triggering to you. I went to school with a young lady who was a very good student. She was the all-American girl next door, homecoming queen, honors student, wasn't troublesome, wasn't a partier. She was that textbook girl next door. And I always knew her as such. And around the time that we got out of school, now I'm old, so this was a long time ago, but around the time that we got out of school, she had joined a girlfriend of hers at a party. And it was just a local gathering, young people our age, different schools, but all teenagers, late teens, 17 to maybe 19 or 20. Private party at a residence, everybody was shooting pool and swimming in the swimming pool. And there might have been a couple of cocktails floating around, but it wasn't like she was hanging in a particularly unsavory environment in the big picture, at least not based on what teenagers are known to do. And she had come to the party with one of her girlfriends. That was her ride there, that was her ride home. But her girlfriend, in the midst of this engagement, had met a young man that she liked. And they wanted to go, I don't know, go for a walk, go for a drive out to Lover's Lane. I couldn't tell you what they went to do, but she wanted to leave with this young man. And my friend was worried that she wouldn't have a ride home if this gal that she had come with disappeared with this boy. So a young man that had been hanging out around her said, "Oh, don't worry about it, I'll give you a ride home." So she told her girl to go on, and the girl did. And this is where I'm going to be careful what I say. All I know is that they were driving back, presumably to her place, through a desolate stretch along a parkway where there was a national forest, or at least some kind of park. It was a wooded area. And this young man randomly pulled the vehicle over and did something unspeakable to her. The most unspeakable thing he could have done to her besides take her life. The police found her wandering up the parkway, covering herself with no clothing. I had heard through the grapevine, through the neighborhood, that this horrible thing had happened to her. But when I saw her, okay, because we lived in the same neighborhood, some days later I bumped into her. When I saw her, it affected me something terrible. I had never seen a human being so broken, so betrayed by humanity, so hurt, so eviscerated in my life. And honest to God, I wouldn't wish what I saw that day on my worst enemy. There's more honor in 86 in somebody than putting somebody through what that poor gal went through. And my heart just broke. And I mean broke. I couldn't fathom how somebody could do that to a human being. And sadly, for a long time, that was the last time I saw her, was shortly after this incident. She moved out of the area and went to live with extended family. Fast forward about 4 years. I was in my mid-20s, and I was on the road with my band, and lo and behold, who comes to one of my shows? It's her. It's my homecoming show. I'd been on a long tour, come back home, and she's in the crowd. And she's ripped. I mean, chiseled like G.I. Jane, washboard stomach, guns, and not in some overblown, juiced up Hollywood way. She was just a gladiator, man. I mean, a gladiator. This gal had become a warrior. Far from the broken, disillusioned, emotionally and spiritually injured person that I had last seen, right? I couldn't believe my eyes. I could not believe that was the same person. I was so elated at what I saw compared to what I had last seen that I was like, girl, come here, give me a hug, how you been? And without hesitation, she hugged my neck like the long lost friends that we were. And I almost choked up in tears because the contrast between what I had last witnessed with her and this amazing woman that was standing in front of me was so stark that I was moved, I was shaken. It really got to me. And all I could say, again, respecting her, was, I'm just so glad to see you doing so well. I said, last time I saw you, my God, you were, and before I could finish my sentence, she put her finger up to her lips. She said, JB, I got victimized, but I didn't remain the victim. She said, I had a choice to make. Stay the victim in perpetuity, or do everything I can to ensure that something like that could never happen to me again. She went to counseling. She studied not one but 2 different martial arts. She took firearm safety and began carrying a pistol. She did a whole mess of things that strengthened her and put her in a better place. And it dawned on me, and this is not limited to people who experienced what she did. This could be any kind of trauma, by the way. I'm not singling out a particular group or a type of torment. But the amount of people who go through some modicum of victimization and live in that space for the rest of their lives became very clear to me. It's staggering. To this day, it's staggering. I thought I was strong. I thought I was a tough guy. You know, I studied boxing. I didn't cry if I got hurt. I mean, I thought I was tough based on those BS standards that we often apply, especially as men. But I can't imagine the strength it took for her to rebuild after what happened to her. I don't know what that's like. And by the grace of God, no immediate women in my inner circle of family or close friends do either, thankfully. But what it must have taken for her to find that was hard enough. But then to implement it and to live it, and then to pay it forward, because guess what she's doing now? She is a counselor for young women, well, not young women, but women that have been through what she went through. She's paying it forward. She's teaching them how to become gladiators after they're dang near broken. And again, I'm not going to say her name because I respect her privacy, but if you're watching this, you're one of my heroes. And I'll always love you, and I'm proud to call you my friend. Truly, you inspired me. You're tougher than I've ever had to be. I love you for it. I truly do. But we all get victimized in some way, shape, or form. We all get neglected, forsaken, taken advantage of. Our kindness, our trust gets manipulated. We get used, we get discarded, we get hurt. And how many of us, even over things way more trivial than what she must have gone through, live in that fetal position, in that victim mode, bitter, hurt, distrustful. You think that gal could have hugged my neck like she did all them years later when she saw me if she hadn't made real strides? Because I'll be man enough to tell you, I don't know if I'd want to go hug any man after something like that if it had happened to me as a woman. So the fact that she could look up at me and be like, well, come here, brother, and hug me, man, come on, that right there, the defense rests, Your Honor. Have you been able to make yourself a gladiator despite being harmed? Because if you have, I salute you too. But if you're like me and you hadn't, you have something to juxtapose. Because I've been victimized, I've been taken for granted, I've been hurt, but nothing compared to what she's been through. So what excuse do I have? What excuse do I have to be bitter, to be distrustful, to live in victimhood? If she can rise up and bounce back from what she went through, buddy, I don't have an excuse to complain about anything. And watching that transformation, seeing her after all that happened, it really truly inspired me. Highly inspired me. I don't know if this spoke to you. I hope it does. I know that watching my friend go through that short enough spoke to me. If this does resonate with you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments, whatever you feel comfortable talking about. I'd love to hear what you've built back from, what's made you stronger, what's made you a warrior. So I thought I knew what strength was until this. Well, on that note, the sun is setting and I'm done for the day. I'm gonna get on out of here. I'd like to thank all of you for being here, and I will see you next time. Y'all be well.